Hello everyone, it's Nick here, and it's time for one of these video logs where periodically I talk about things that have affected me, or something gaming related, or even something news related, but we try and keep it on a bit of an even keel. We don't want to start World War III or anything. This is just friendly discussion where we can share our experiences and our thoughts going forward. Now this time I want to talk to you about, you might have come across it in the news items, is a new ZX Spectrum is going to be produced. It's a crowd-funded project called the Spectrum Next. This made me start thinking, this is a brand new computer. Who's going to buy a Spectrum Next? Who would buy a brand new Spectrum nowadays? Now retro gaming is quite big at the moment. It seems like the ZX Spectrum is leading the way at the moment, at the cusp of all this, and this is where a lot of recreations are happening. First come out with the recreated ZX Spectrum. If you want to do a search on Amazon for that, around about £100 going down. Yeah, good entry if you want a ZX Spectrum. You couldn't buy an old one now that's fully working, I doubt. Well, you could do, but it wouldn't be new. And then the Spectrum Vega, which is sort of a plug-in play device, a little bit expensive at £100, plugs into the back of the telly and come with 1,000 games, but could give you a nostalgia buzz if you grew up in that sort of era or into 8-bit gaming. And then another one that's going to come out soon, which I did a previous video log on, which I'm probably going to end up getting if it's under £100, is a Spectrum Vega Plus. So check out that log if you want to. It's in the news section. It's a handheld ZX Spectrum basically, again loaded with 1,000 games. I think the same as the original Spectrum Vega, which I wouldn't have bought, but this on the move one I probably will buy. So now I come across the Spectrum Next in news articles and other people's logs. Now it was a few weeks ago, this article, so I wanted some time to go by before I actually presented this, try and think what I thought about it, because I can't see how it can work really. We'll come to the specs in a minute. I might convince myself, but the reason why the ZX Spectrum's revival is there and these other devices, because it's playing on your mind to play these games again and take you back to an era where you was a young kid or growing up, and you have warm memories. Sometimes the games aren't particularly good or that advanced, but they seem to be quite clever, and you know, just replaying a bit of your youth really, taking you back when you was with friends or television that was on at the time, or just warm memories in general. Now this Spectrum Next that hasn't come out yet, but might come out next summer or maybe before then if the crowdfunding goes well. I'll tell you a bit about it. It can play all old games from ZX81 48K to the 128K version. It's also going to be compatible with all peripherals that was on the original ZX Spectrum, so tapes, joystick like Kempston, Quickshot, things like that. I'm not sure about expansion packs, but we'll come to that in a minute. So the old ZX printer, which was pretty useless, I'm sure that'll fix to it as well. Maybe the current microspeech that could produce speech, but there might be an inside box that do that as well. Now there's going to be some new video modes, including HDMI output, which would be quite nice for recording purposes. It's going to be an SD card storage. You can load up games straight in that way without doing it directly from a tape and get the amazing R-tape loading error back in the day. And it's also, this device, going to have a lot more memory. Now instead of 128K, which the Spectrum maxed out on, it's going to have half a meg, so 520 kilobytes of RAM. That's pretty much what was in my Commodore Amiga when I first bought that. It makes me thinking, why does it need 500K? Perhaps they're going to start producing more games. And then I was thinking again to my original inquiry, who's going to buy new, although there's a big homebrew market at the moment, who's going to buy new Spectrum games? This is going to be a new device, so it's going to compete against PlayStation 4 and beyond and Xbox One. So it's just, is it just appealing to people my age and round about that age, 10 years either side? Could be a tough sell, for it, but it's got a fully working keyboard of course because it is a proper computer. It's scheduled for production, not a definite thing yet, but I am putting up some graphics of it directly from their website. Sounds a bit exciting, and I could be tempted to buy one. I'm just worried about the mass appeal on it really. What else? Yet tape support's going to have a 1 GHz CPU, which seems quite impressive, and also as well gets people back to programming on the ZX Spectrum. Now I presume the operating system is going to be the same basic that was present in the 128K and the 48K versions, but maybe it's going to be a bit different. Because back in the day, what's really got me engrossed with the ZX Spectrum was I had the rubber keyboard one, was the ability to actually program your own stuff, even if it was something simple like a screen flashing or drawing a circle. It was just the experimentation, and that did take a bit of your time as you're learning new coding. And that's what a lot of people in IT today might have started off with, one of those. People of my age in particular, and I'll say 10 years either side. It's going to be fully open source, so people can develop it. So, you know, it might expand going forward there into the future. It's not an emulator. Like most people that play Spectrum games now will use a emulator, because working systems, unless you've got the recreated ZX Spectrum, of course, just eventually stop working through wear and tear. It's a brand new machine. Quite impressive stuff. So a lot of thought has gone into this one. It's going to be compatible with all tested so far ZX Spectrum games from the past, no matter what machine, so that's good. It will support homebrew games through an SD card, so things like Spectral Interlude, the Castlevania games, and Horace games, and even Jet Set Willy games that people will produce at this point will actually work. So more people might start writing for it. If I had more time, I'd have a bit of a go, but the only thing I can think of really is a really stupid choose your own adventure sort of game, some sort of text-based craziness. Not sure that'll be successful, and it might take a lot of my time. What else can I tell you about the Spectrum next? Well, it's can connect to Wi-Fi network, so in theory you should be able to play against other people online, maybe. Also download homebrew games from various sites, so there'll be some memory storage there. Like a PC, you'll be able to change the computer settings there to how you like it. With the ZX Spectrum, you're like stuck with one setting, so that's an advancement there. But we're going back a bit. This is a system of 2016 or possibly 2017. Now this bit is really interesting. Now there's going to be some new video modes that the original Spectrums did not have, which can potentially enhance old games, like change the colour palette slightly to make them even better, give you a wider choice of colours. Now quite a lot of the Spectrum games, Renegade 3 I reviewed quite recently, had either colour clash or you had white on white, so you couldn't actually see the goings on of it. It's going to fix that. You can tweak it. So some games that were unplayable before, or a bit of a pain in the bum to play, could be better. But how well this is going to work with the old software, I'm not sure. I guess it might take a bit of tinkering about with, hence the various settings, but potentially that could end up looking pretty awesome. Now, depending on the orders that happened for this originally, they don't know how much this is going to cost, although there are a few big names behind its development of the system. They're ideally looking to sell it below the price of £100. If there aren't many orders on this, or there's a low take-up, it could be more expensive. And if it's more expensive, even less people are going to buy it. So that's their main problem, really. Getting the price down and getting enough people to actually buy this. Because I think appealing people just of my sort of age group and around it, I don't think it's going to be quite enough. Because a lot of people have moved on. There's a small band of people that are still in there, hence why this retro thing is going on. People that follow a lot of different systems. But they're going to need, for the success of this, a percentage of new people, new to gaming, to also adopt it as well. That's a very tough ask. But I think I've pretty much convinced myself. I don't know who's going to buy this system, but I might very well buy one, because it seems to be the sort of thing that, I hate to say it, doesn't really get off the ground. There's a few of them about, and then you can't find any, and then I'd wish I'd got one. So I probably might buy one of these Spectrum Nexts. I don't think it's connected to anything like Next, the clothes shop or anything. So yeah, I mean, if you've got any views on this, the Spectrum Next, I mean, as I said, I'm definitely going to buy the Spectrum Vega Plus, if that's £80 or below, because that's to be a good thing to have in my top pocket there. Also, a lot of games I've got already that I've reviewed and played, I can put them on there because I think there's quite a lot of space. The 1,000 games it comes with that, I'm not sure I'll keep all of them because a few of them are a bit rough, so I might swap them around. Spectrum Next, 512k of memory. I mean, that's going to be awesome, isn't it? A Spectrum with that sort of much. But again, do you think the Spectrum Next is going to have a high take-up? Have you watched any other videos and they've covered anything that I haven't done about it? I personally think, although I want it to be a huge success, and as I said, I'm going to definitely, well, I've convinced myself through the thing of this review I wasn't going to get one, but now I probably will do, yeah. I'm going to get one. Will you buy one? And will enough people buy it to make this a long-term success? As I said, my thoughts are have a small run and then have a bit of bother. My fear is as well with this retro thing and lots of recreated systems, it's gradually going to go through all of them. ZX Spectrum seem to have the most interest, but I'm sure if they make any money at all, people can develop Commodore 64 type stuff. Amstrad CPC maybe less so, but there might be a chance there. A handheld Commodore Amiga console would be quite good. Again, if they brought out a new Commodore Amiga, I probably wouldn't buy that one. I can't see what else they can do. So, but let's keep this on the Spectrum next. What are your thoughts about that? I'd love to hear your what you think about below. And it did get like World War III, the last log with the comments below, but that was just due to one person who seems to have deleted their account. I don't wish them any harm or anything like that. Maybe a bit highly strung. But anyway, those people that are still here, please put your comments below. And until next time, take care and goodbye.
Goodbye.